Good afternoon. Welcome back to some more Lord of the Rings LCG solo gameplay, and we'll be playing through the Nightmare quests. Not going to try to play through the Nightmare quests with one deck without making any changes or anything like that. Just going to try to beat the Nightmare quests any way that I can. And so I'll be starting out with Passage Through Mirkwood using the Elrond deck that I used and Mustering of the Rohirrim, Elrond Bond of Friendship deck that I used in Mustering of the Rohirrim. So the only real trick to this one in the setup is that you have to reveal an additional card from the encounter deck. And then this quest will throw a variety of upgraded enemies, upgraded locations, or upgraded shadow cards at you, which seems typical of the Nightmare quests. And so for Nightmare decks, it's good to have cards like a Burning Brand, which can deal with shadow cards, or Jubayr, or a Test of Will to take care of pretty ferocious when revealed effects. That one requires me to discard all cards from hand, which I could cancel for one resource, or I could just discard, not all cards from hand, all event cards from hand. So I could have canceled that for one resource, or I could have just discarded my one event. So naturally I chose to discard my one event. The revealed card I started out with is an Ungoliant's Brood. And it's not too bad, really. So one attack is going to go on Beregond, which that requires me to exhaust a character, which I do have a character available to exhaust. And Beregond gets to lower threat, and the other attack goes on Elrond. That shadow card brings back the shadow card from the top of the encounter deck, which says exhaust a character, and I don't have any remaining to exhaust, so it does nothing. Relatively fine start. I have two enemies engaged that I can't currently do anything about. Gandalf could eliminate one of them immediately if I would like. I don't consider them too big a threat at the moment, but I think I'd go ahead and decide to play Gandalf, eliminate a forest spider. It seemed like a bit weak and a bit conservative to me to do that, but I did it anyway. Just because if another enemy, or even two enemies, came out with a surge, I could be in some trouble. And I did get a Beastmaster, and I don't think I would have had a way to deal with that if I didn't use Gandalf there. But I do pass through phase 1. And so we got attacks from the Beastmaster and Ungoliant's Brood to deal with. Both those shadow cards are duds. So that's going to lower threat by 1 with Beregond's ability. And the second attack goes on Elrond for no damage, and I decide I'll use Gandalf to do a little damage on the Beastmaster, but of course does not kill it. Now, I have the option of playing Hauberk of Mail here, or I can use Frodo's ability to get some additional questing power. I decide to use Frodo's ability. I'm actually saving Old Forest Road. Of course I could have moved there at any time, but it has the response that you get to ready a hero, and I decided to save this for when I would really need it. So I passed stage 2 relatively easily, and the randomly chosen stage 3 is Beorn's Path, which simply requires 10 progress, and Ungoliant's Spawn can't be on the table when you get the 10 progress. I guess it might be the easier of the two branches, but with Éowyn, Tactics Éowyn, it doesn't really matter too much. Do have 3 enemies out now, and so that's not so easy to deal with, though one of them is Forest Flies and doesn't do a whole lot. You can really take that attack undefended most of the time, although many of the shadow effects are worse if they are undefended. That one was undefended and required me to exhaust 2 characters. I only have 1 available to exhaust. Got Vilya. I don't know that I need Vilya. Unexpected Courage would be helpful in dealing with multiple attacks. I can put that on Beregond. I think what I'm thinking here is that I'll use it potentially for Vilya. Though that was probably greedy at this point. I probably should have put it on Beregond. With Burning Brand, though, Elrond can become quite a good defender. So I'm going to go ahead and quest. I'm thinking probably at this point it'll take a couple of turns to clear Beorn's path. 1 or 2 turns. And I can go ahead and, again, move to Old Forest Road at any time if I want to ready a hero. Didn't consider it very important to do. Though at this point I'm wondering if maybe I should... I decide not to move to that location and just move on to combat. I could have moved to Old Forest Road, readied Éowyn, used her ability, and taken out 2 of these enemies right here, and in hindsight, that's probably the best play. But I'm almost always of the mindset of saving Éowyn for a rainy day, even to a fault. So Beregond takes 1 attack, and Elrond's going to take 2 attacks. I don't think I needed to use my Burning Brand. Shadow cards were duds, didn't do too much. Didn't get to use... Or did I take that attack undefended? I'm not sure. Well, in any case, 1 more questing phase will do the trick. And that is game. A relatively easy Nightmare quest, one that it's perfectly possible to beat in progression mode using cards that were only available at the time that the Nightmare quest was released. So a good warm-up for any Nightmare deck. There's some things that can happen to ruin your day. It's still possible to take a loss, of course. But this is a relatively tame Nightmare quest. So, looking forward to playing the rest of the Nightmare quests, and thank you for watching.